Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Cowboys Takeover Podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Jason Kent. With me, as always, Mr. Aaron James. Aaron, how are you doing on this beautiful Thursday evening, November 21st?
Doing good, man. And to be honest, I've been thinking about Turkey Day already. I'm like thinking, how am I going to pace myself next week?
Yo, do you have any I know you just moved out there, but you got any Turkey Day games going on? Did you get any planned out there yet?
No, don't have anything planned, which I'm actually kind of relieved about because I'm so sore by Thursday afternoon to get out there. We're talking flag football.
Yeah, it's by dinner time, it's kind of rough. You're kind of limping to go get. It's tough getting up them seconds and thirds when you got to go limp. After a long day. I'm on the IR, so I definitely won't be making one out this year, but I know it'll be missed. But I'll tell you, I feel like every year I pulled a hamstring or something. I feel like every time it was terrible. But we do want to bring and let everyone know we do have a little programming change. That's why we did not go out Tuesday. We didn't have a show. We are going to condense it down, to the Thursday shows. So we'll give a little post game recap from the game before, and then dive into, as usual, this next week's matchup. So looking at this week, Aaron, I think as a game we were both kind of. I don't think anybody really expected much. Going in the last week, in-state rival Houston, they may not be. Stroud doesn't. I don't think he looks as good as he did last year. Maybe he's having a little bit of that rookie season hangover. There's some tape out there on him now. So he didn't do much, but it is like usual for that Dallas defense, not tackling. And Joe Mixon's a guy that you can't not tackle. He's one of the premier backs in the league for a while. I think I mentioned this last show. Somebody I thought Dallas could have traded for him. Was a little bit cheaper and give you that presence. And you really saw what he brought to Houston. What he really did, the boost they gave them, and Joe Mixon, your second-year quarterback, take some of that pressure off his shoulders. I thought that would have been a perfect thing for Dak. Things didn't roll out that way. So when you watched it last week, it's tough for your takeaways, but what did you see anything? Were you happy with anything? What were your good takeaways, or what were any takeaways that you had in that game with Houston?
Yeah. So it's been, a tale of two halves, really, I feel like, for our team, where we generally have been starting off pretty decent and going into halftime, you think like, oh boy, like we might have a shot here in the second half. I don't know if it's lack of adjustments or if we just continue to do the same thing and it's the other team that's making the adjustments and getting the success in the second half. So you got that, because at halftime it's 17-10, and you had that the big Turpin touchdown, which you love to see. Finally, an explosive play take place. But the turning point for this game, Aubrey hits a 64-yard field goal, but then there's a penalty that gives us the first down. Later in that drive, we end up going for it on 4th and 3, and it's a rollout to the right side. And it looked like the Texans knew the play, because the defenders kind of start running to the quarterback's right as soon as he snaps it. So we go, instead of walking away, we're chasing points. Instead of making it a one possession game,
as per usual,
we give the ball back. We give the ball back, and that pretty much sealed it the rest of the way. We don't put any other points on the board, and at that point, they went on a 17-0 run to end the game.
Yeah, it really felt like, to me, it felt exactly like that Eagles game from a couple weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago, really. Yeah, at this point, where the defense really stepped up in the first half. The defense played good ball. I know you messaged me early in that. The defense, I feel like they were looking good. They had some big plays. You said, I don't think it was the defense. It's just more dynamic on offense. Where it's Cooper Rush, kind of, listen, when you throw 55 times, you're hoping for much better performance than he had against the Eagles. And he did go out and throw for 355, but again, it was on 55 attempts because they're really playing from behind from that first drive, right? Mixon really broke one. And Stroud, he listened 23-34, not super efficient, but pretty, well enough for 257. Had the INT, but it just felt like again Dallas when they needed to, they just shoot themselves in the foot. And I feel, this is a thing that we've been talking about with McCarthy for a long time is discipline, where it's a lot of just, you're looking good, you see some things, but then you have too many 3-and-outs. You're figuring out you can't do stuff. You have stupid penalties. You just have drive killing plays. And it's one of those things that, and again, chasing points when sometimes you may not even need to. I just don't know. It's so bothersome because I don't know what else you have to see to keep McCarthy around. No, even Micah, people taking shots at him. So it's tough. I don't know what you do at this. It's tough. You don't want to look that bad against Houston, but the defense, the teams just seem to give up in the second half. And with the way Cooper played, I thought they should have had more than 10 points.
And given the fact that we were in this game maybe longer than expected, with Rico only having 10 carries, and to your point, Cooper having to throw it 55 times when it's really a one possession game through almost 3 quarters or 2.5, that seems a little bit, like mismanaged from the coaching standpoint. And I'm not sure if you caught this, Brett, when Cooper threw the interception, it was a pass to CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee kind of seemed to change the route, or there was a miscommunication between CeeDee and Cooper Rush. And we saw a lot of that throughout the month of September with Dak and CeeDee, and we gave him some grace because he missed basically all of training camp and preseason.
Well, with that play, to me, I don't know if it's as much as them being on the wrong. I don't know what the route when I first saw it, when they showed it, I thought he might have given up. I thought that, but when they showed the replay, it looked like he was really trying to beat his defender and wasn't paying attention to where the safety was. It looked a little bit like that, but then it kind of gave to me, I thought it was one of those 1, 2, 3 drop throws. And that's why when Cooper let it go, it seemed really much like he was expecting C to be in a spot with that. But it just felt like CD's body language after was kind of like, what are you doing? Like, listen, you can't throw your quarterback under the bus there. You're the guy, you're the number one.
Mm-hmm.
He's expecting you to be at a spot. If you're not there, don't throw your hands up. Go make a play. Go make a tackle. So it's just those things. You're right. The body language for a lot of the team just doesn't look good right now.
No, it really doesn't. And, we had texted each other when we missed the fake field goal or fake punt attempt. I mean, that was just a little bit too, well, it was
obnoxious. What are we doing?
Anticipated by the other.
They Texans had a perfect listen. Mm-hmm. Houston play because they showed blitz and they dropped Buddy out, and listen, why? And I agree. I think it's one of those things where you hear the broadcasting team, they were talking about it, and they said, that's a play he has on, but McCarthy has to clear it. Like, I kind of understand going for it, but it's if you're going to go for it, I don't want it on a real punt. Like, let Cooper go out there, let him go make a play. If you're going to really go for it, don't give me this gadget. I guess a lot of our stuff has to, but like let Turpin, give me an end around Turpin, put the ball in somebody's hands. Don't make my punter make a decision. Like, that's what I like. Come on, McCarthy. Like, just things like that. I don't understand. It was a terrible play call. Yeah, it was obnoxious. I actually forgot about it. It was so bad. I forgot about it. But
yeah, so all in all, just a disappointing game. Now, again, the result was expected, but you feel like if you just a little bit more polished and trust in your defense there, it's probably ends up a lot closer, which, is saying something. I mean, I think our defense, to me, week over week, it seems to be improving. It has that spark with Micah out there. Jordan Lewis wasn't in this game, but I think, going as we get into Washington here, Yeah, I think more promising signs for a closer game at least.
Yeah. Listen, when you do, I see. I don't know about that, bud.
Okay.
Jaden Daniels. I know that team didn't do great against the Eagles last week. That team's got a lot more playmakers, I think, than Houston does. I think they're much better. They're a more well-rounded team, I believe, than Houston. So I think it's going to be tough. No, but like you said, to me, it's the offense. It's always the offense with like just struggling this year. Because like you said, even after they do the fake punt, your defense comes out and does get the turnover.
Mm-hmm.
And then and then that's where that, the interception was. So it's just, listen, I was surprised when they're in it. When you're down 17-10, you really thought you had a chance. You didn't like to see Aubrey missed that field goal. But, listen, you're going into half 17-10. You have to be excited. And I think, again, the major issue is that running game. And I don't know how you fix it because you can't fix it with this offense. I don't know if it's the offensive line. I don't know if it is the running backs. Rico he's had games where he's looked very good. And then he's had games where he's averaged 2.8 yards a carry. So I don't know. It's really tough to say if it's the running game, offensive line, or we just don't have solid running backs. Because Zeke, they showed his stats. He's the first running back in NFL history to ever go down every year since his rookie season in yards per game. So
in my 12-team fantasy league, Rico Dowdle is a free agent. He's the only RB1 that's a free agent.
That's tough.
That's embarrassing.
Listen, so right now they're 5th in draft order. So I don't know if to me, even if you're not in the top 10, I don't think you can take the running back. I think you're looking at this team now, there are way too many holes because when I see the 2.8 yards a carry, like they've had a bunch of different running backs in there. Like Rico's had games where he's looked okay, but they've, I don't know how much Zeke has left. I guess you don't know how much Cook has left. So I guess it's really tough to say if it, you don't know if it's the running back or the line. So I think it's going to be tough, but they have to figure it out. They're not one or two piece too little. It's not small fixes. And when you look at it now, they're not just Dak away from this season. Cause when Dak was here, they were struggling. So it's going to be tough. That's what I took last week. I thought you wanted to win that in-state rival game. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't the Houston Texans' first win against Dallas?
I'm not sure.
I might have to fact check that one. I might have to bring that one back next week. I'll have to fact check it, but I think it was. I think Derek Carr or David Carr, but that was David Carr. Had himself a day. But transitioning from last week's tough loss to in-state rival to coming up where we have back-to-back divisional games. This is always a tough week for Dallas because they you get the Sunday game and then you turn right around on Thanksgiving Day. Thankfully the easier of the two games is on Thanksgiving Day. Tommy Cutlets. But that's another podcast. We have to face Jaden Daniels this week, who really looks like he could be in the running for Rookie of the Year. Kid's having himself a very good season. He's got the Commanders at 7-4. When you look at it, Dan Quinn goes there, takes some players. Jaden Daniels, man, looks like he could be Rookie of the Year. Go out and sign another guy that I've been championing for Dallas to sign for 2 years now, and Bobby Wagner, who leads them with tackles with 91. I feel like every team we talk about, I'm like, man, I wanted that guy. That's somebody I thought we would have been great here. Thought somebody would have been great here. It's just every team now. Man, it's frustrating. But Dan Quinn has them looking like, they had a setback against the Eagles. So, and they are beatable. They did lose to Pittsburgh late on some tough stuff, but this is a team that you think, if you're Washington, I think you're excited to play this game. It's an in-one. In-state, you have struggling Cowboys. But the good thing if you are Dallas is it is a rookie quarterback. I think that's
Mhm.
the good thing. Zimmer's been around this league for a very, very long time. So he's going to throw things at this kid that he may not have seen before. I know early in the season, he did struggle. They had him more running. Since he's been really able to open up that passing game, this Washington team's really taken off and played much better than we thought. They have a very solid defense. What are you expecting this week against the Commanders team that looks pretty good?
Well, for one, you have the McCarthy versus DQ, kind of the in-house rivalry. Let's also not forget that the Commanders took, I want to say, 4 of our players, or DQ acquired Biotish, um, Armstrong on the D line,
Yo,
and
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 Dante Fowler Jr. leads their team in interceptions.
Dante Fowler Jr. There was another player or two. I should have written down the names, but the players followed DQ over.
Well, Noah Brown's a Dallas guy
A
too. He's
former
been
former
yeah,
Dallas guy, yeah, and actually,
Dorrance Armstrong. But it's they're good.
yeah,
They just Quinn's got that team playing at a high level. They did lose Jonathan Allen for the year, who's a very good player, an all pro type of player, but they still have Deron Payne, who's very good. And Bobby Wagner, he's a stud middle linebacker. He's been around the game for a long time. And it's tough because the advantage, man, DQ knows this team. And it's
mhm,
he's going to know Cooper Rush. He's seen a lot of them in practice. He knows CeeDee Lamb. He knows this offense very well. So I think that's what is going to make it. And it's not like it's Dak coming in. It is Cooper Rush.
yeah.
So I'm a little worried. Because DQ is going to know what to do.
But at the same time, McCarthy knows his defense. But our problem is that we don't have really the talent to really execute.
There you
But
go.
I'm sure he'll mix some things in that may catch him off guard. Um, we are getting Jerome Bland back. It looks like he was a full participant in practice, I believe, yesterday, and Marshawn Nealon. So, and I didn't see if Jordan Lewis was going to be in or not. He did miss the last game, but hey, look, with Bland and Diggs back, I think it's going to help us to sell out on the run a little bit more than we probably normally would. And in watching the Commanders and Eagles game, and watching, it was the first full game where I really took a look at the QB. His name, why is his name escaping me? But anyways, he's not as athletic or agile as I thought. He's more of a north and south kind of guy. He's not going to juke the linebackers. He seems to go down, somewhat easily. So I'm not really as concerned with him running out of the pocket and getting yards like a Jalen Hurts in this case. So you know what? I expect another like one possession game going into halftime, and it's going to be another roll of the dice in the second half.
Listen, when you look at this team, I kind of know running game. They kind of divvy it out a little bit to everybody. Brian Robinson Jr. missed a few games, but he leads the way with 117 carries. 524. He averages 4.5. Jaden Daniels does have 92 carries for 482. So, he does average 5.2 yards a carry. He averages 43 yards a game. So he takes his opportunities when they are presented to him. But he's not a guy that's, I don't think, is looking for it, but he does take it. And then, they did sign Eckler, who has 65 carries for 333. So he's averaging over 5 as well. And then you look at the receiving core, man, they really divvied it up. McLaurin leads the way, who's an absolute stud with 68 targets, but right behind him is having kind of a resurgence here in Washington. Zach Ertz with 61 targets. And Noah Brown, man, he's third on their team, which I was kind of shocked at 42 targets. and then Eckler kind of rounding out, who's always kind of one of those dudes. He has 31 catches in those 36 targets. So they're a team that can go anywhere, and that's going to be the issue. And I don't know if there's one thing. I think, like I've said all year, I think you want to kind of sell out on the run. Washington with those guys, kind of how they look and kind of feed everybody, are going to be looking to run the ball. But the problem is, you do get those guys back, so you can hope to lock up Terry. If you can really lock him up, I think Overshown, you could put him or one of the safeties on Ertz. He's not the guy he used to be younger in his career. And just don't let, you hope if you have Diggs and Bland, you don't let the other dudes beat you. You lock up Terry and then put Bland on one of the, Noah Brown, get one of the safeties on Ertz. I think they could do that if they can stop the run. They got to win that line, man. It's the offensive and defensive line is really what's been hurting them all year, in the run game. And if you can't run the ball, you can't stop the run. It makes out for, I think, what we've seen all season.
Yeah, I agree. I think Micah's going to need to have a stamp on this game in a big way. If Bland can come up with a pick six, that's kind of what he does.
Yeah, if he gets it, that would, you especially like first or second possession, that would energize the team, man. And listen, like you said, last year, Dallas had a very, very good home. Listen, they may be the away team this year. This could just be it. We're playing in Washington. It's setting us up for a win. Just the way the season's going. Can't win at home.
That's true. It's our best chance to go on the road and, provide for an upset. Also, when I look at the Commanders' schedule, what their best win of this season is probably the Arizona Cardinals. Outside of that, they really haven't beaten anyone with a winning record. I mean, they beat Chicago, but that's about it. So is it because they have had
it's a 1 point? It is a 1 point game against Pittsburgh, who is 8-2. Like that was a game. That was a game they should have won. Like there was some, like they had some crap at the end. Like they gave it up.
Well, let's not forget that they needed a Hail Mary against Chicago to come out with that win. You're
right. I'll give it to you. So listen, but they are an up and coming team. That's the thing. They're with that rookie quarterback that Dan Quinn's got him playing good. Doing what he needs to do. He's not asking him to go out and win the games because they have a lot of talent around. Washington's been a team for years. I felt like they've been trying to go through, I think they grabbed Carson Wentz at one time. They had that Taylor Heineke kid that I think got got a victory in the playoffs, or played very well. So they've always been that quarterback away, and it really seems like they have something here. But kind of narrowing it down, what do you think on Dallas' side? What's the best way for them to get this victory? Do you think they can get this victory?
I do think they can get this victory. Cooper Rush, he's getting more into a groove. He had all his reps, a lot more reps last week. He was able to find CD for 8 targets, 93 yards, I think it was. So I think he shows more improvement here. Our left tackle Guyton, wasn't he benched for a series after fumbling the ball that he had recovered last game? I feel like he was, that we did bring in another left tackle for at least one series, if not the rest of the second half. But we're going to need to get Rico the ball at least 15 times, give him a chance to get a 15-yard gasher, 20-yard gasher. It's really disappointing that our running game really hasn't produced any sort of flash this season. I think our longest run of the season is maybe 14 yards, or it's what Dak did that probably warmed up his hamstring a little bit too much. But hey, look, if I say If Rico can carry the ball at least a minimum of 15 times, maybe lean towards Zeke in the red zone, take care of the football and win the turnover ratio, um,
So you're asking
we
for
have a shot.
miracles here. The one good thing when you said that, like, and I agree, man, they have not. There hasn't been flash. I think Rico had that one game where he had like 20 something carries and had about 80 yards. But outside that game, they haven't really even given him an opportunity, I think, to really shine either. Like I want to see the kid, especially now. Like Dak's not there. Why are we not? Last week, you early in that game, you still could have run the ball. Why are we not giving him a chance? Like I think let's get 20 carries. Like you aren't getting these guys into grooves. Everyone knows you're passing. And if there's going to be a team that you're going to establish a running game against, man, it's the team that's given up the most rushing yards this season so far. Yes, they've played a game more than the team right below them, but they've still given up the most rushing yards, more than Dallas. So if you're going to get a run game started, and that's, like we said, control the line of scrimmage. If they can at least run the ball, man, if they can run the ball this week and keep it close, I think that's where you can help. You got to put up more than 10 points. You can't continue the 3 and outs. You can't, when you get turnovers, you can't give it right back. I think it is this week should be a lot of ball control, keep the possession. Now if Washington comes out and shuts down the run game, it's over. Like, I don't know what to do at that point because they're not good. But it has to. You have to have a good run game this week against the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
So what's your prediction? When you're breaking it down, when your final say, I think I know where you're going this week. I think I feel it. But I just got to hear you say it. What is your prediction for this week, Mr. Aaron James?
Yeah. So I think it was you that I had texted during the Eagles game that the Eagles were frauds. They just couldn't move the ball against the Eagles. And I had just mentioned kind of their schedule, a lot of weakness in there. I think that this week we kind of start our maybe one of 2 or 3 games left this year where we have a spoiler. And my bold prediction is if we do come out on top and beat the Commanders will miss the playoffs this year.
Oh,
because
that is a pretty bold prediction.
If you look at what the NFC South is, everyone's with a game out. And you look at the NFC North with Green Bay and Detroit and Minnesota. So it's not only the scheduling factor and in the win-loss column, but if we come out on top, that just also screams what I kind of texted you last week, and that they're not really a real team as of yet. I'll give it to you. They definitely look promising. But so my prediction for this week, it's a reach, man, but I'm going to go with the upset here. I'm going to go with the upset, and I'm going to say we come out on top 23-21.
That's the Aaron James I know and love right there. I'm the opposite. I don't think. I think it's another one of those. You're going to keep it close early on, but you just know it's not going to end well. I don't think they can get a run game going. I think this is a team that can. Dan Quinn knows this team, especially they just don't look great. I don't have the faith to even think that McCarthy will try to get a run game going against the worst rushing defense in the league. So I know they're not going to get one. I think it's another. I think they put up points this week. Cooper looked like he got in his rhythm. He knows he's going to be the guy. I think 17-31 Commanders. Not looking good coming home on the Turkey Day.
Wow. I mean, I think with Bland back, it's going to make a big difference, and we're going to see it. I
hope you're right. Listen, I hope you're right because listen, there's nothing better than really sticking it to your rivals. And I know, everybody, up here, everyone says Dallas Eagles is the big one, but I know, like, from just my research and the years of fan, the Cowboys, Washington, our team or Commanders. I know that's the big one. That's the one Dallas won. So if you can knock them out of the play, if you can hit them now and really start to put them on that 3-game losing streak, now you're feeling good. And you're right, it's an upset. You want to see those. So these are the games that if you're a Dallas fan or even a Dallas player, these are the ones you gotta, you're out of the playoffs. So hey, let's throw in somebody else's day too. Listen, there's nothing more if I'm having a bad day, and this sounds like I'm a terrible person, I'm saying it, and I don't actually believe this, but it goes with the show. Hey, if I'm having a bad day, let somebody else have a bad day with me, I love it. So let's let somebody else have a bad day with us, our fans. Let's knock them out too. There's nothing wrong with knocking out the Redskins or the Commanders fans.
Look, I also want to say with Jaden Daniels, he has 5 games with less than 210 yards passing.
Well, I know that early on, and I think that's going to be the struggle. They weren't sure how the transition, but I think they're doing it pretty well with him. I don't think he's terrible. I know he's going to have some games where he's struggling. But he's also shown he's got the talent. He can do everything else. And the thing is that I don't think they need him to do everything either, though. They don't need him throwing for 350 a game.
They don't, but I think in this case, they're gonna kind of be patient and let the Cowboys, self-destruct, which is not a bad bet. It's not a bad bet to do that. But if that's kind of what leaves the window open sometimes.
Yeah, but listen, we're going in again. You're going in faithful. You're going in hoping. You're going in just. Let's see a couple drives. If you can put together first, second down or first, second drive touchdowns, you get 10 points on that board after the first 2 drives. Then, I'll be feeling comfortable, but we'll have to wait and see. It is 1:00 Sunday. So we'll be back. We'll probably be back. Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll have to discuss, see what everybody's doing for the holiday, coming up next week. So we're back probably Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll let you know. We'll let you all know with the pregame because next week is Thursday. So we begin again, next week with our post game for this week. A big game against the Commanders, can knock them out. Aaron thinks if we win them, they don't make the playoffs, which would be beautiful because you do get them again. I think, if I'm not mistaken, too, they're the last game we have this season. We are, and that's at Dallas. That's a game they could flex. So this game could be both of those games could be huge for the Commanders. So it's beautiful. You're right, Leah. Let's play spoilers. Let's play spoilers at this point. Take them out. So we'll be back. Everybody will enjoy. Have a great weekend. 1:00 in Washington. It's going to be a Fox primetime special. Enjoy your weather. Hopefully you're great. We finally got some rain out here. So everybody enjoy. And let's not eat. Let's save all the food for Thanksgiving, people. Start not eating now. Chow down. Till next time, go Cowboys.